Welcome to the first edition of the Connected Car Dilemma podcast. Today's guest is Mark May, president of Advantage Warranty Group. Mark, welcome to the podcast.
Hey man, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be able to jump on here with you.
I love it. And let's say it like we're from Louisiana. I've been knowing you for how long?
A long time, Chef. For a long time.
For a long time, Shay. You're not wrong.
For a
You're
minute.
not wrong.
For a
I
minute.
like it. So tell us a little about you, Mark. You've been around the automotive business for many, many years in many capacities on the vendor side, the dealer side. Walk us through Mark May.
Yeah, so I started in the car business under the retail side, like most people that eventually gravitate to this side, So we started about 25 years ago in sales. Young guy, had no idea that this was going to be a career, just trying to make money to, start a family, and fell in love with it, worked my way into, used car management, F&I management, even became a dealer at one point in time for a fairly large independent used car lot, and had a great time. Discovered that that's not what I would like to do with my life, because being a dealer has a lot of moving parts. And then eventually went to work for a warranty company and fell in love with the warranty side of the business. Loved the administration side, loved the investment side, consulting side, and then through the years gravitated into having my own agency, which then gravitated into being able to start my own admin company. So yeah, about 25 years. It's been a long but fun journey.
So you started when you were 15, thereabouts.
15, that's right. Back before I had gray hair.
Take the compliment, brother. Take the compliment.
I'm loving it. In fact, when I started, you had hair.
Oh yeah, boy, that's a long time ago. I hadn't had hair in a minute. So quick question for you then, just for context. Every time you and I talk, you come across a lot of very interesting people. And those interesting people do interesting things in the automotive business. Some on the dealer side, some on the warranty side, some on the technology side. And you seem to be able to pull all of that together into one sharp, crisp technology play that just makes dealers' lives better. We recently had a talk with one of your good friends, and we were talking about the challenges dealers have on the front end and how the market's becoming more litigious. If you sell a pre-owned vehicle that as a dealer has an open recall on it, there's a couple of possible outcomes for that, and neither of which seems to be good for the dealer. Steer me into that. Tell me a little what you know about that.
Yeah, so it seems like in the last probably, 2 to 3 years, compliance and fraud and all kind of stuff has just been the buzzwords. And that's really what started our journey into this. Is we've got together with one of my other vendor partners that has ID verification piece, insurance verification, and the whole purpose is to eliminate any synthetic fraud that may come in on the back end, because the lenders are now making the dealers buy that stuff back. So that's what was the catalyst to kind of start these conversations. So fast forward about 18 months, and then we're sitting in Vegas having another conversation with the same group, but someone else comes in who is also on the compliance side that has told us that what's happening is now the government is starting to crack down on dealers that, just like you said, they're selling vehicles that have known recalls. Whether they were aware of it or not is irrelevant. If it was an open recall, they chose to sell that. Specifically, if they sold it without making the customer aware and then letting them know that, hey, there is a problem there and there is a fix, or hey, there is a problem and we don't have a fix for it, it's just an open recall, you still have to make them aware and put some sort of a plan of action, or either hold that inventory back and not sell it at all until it is retail ready. There's just a lot of red tape that we're now having to jump through in order to stay compliant, so that way the government doesn't crack down on all of our dealer partners. So as soon as he brings this up, I'm thinking this is a no-brainer. We need to put this on the forefront, because we've got to figure out how to make sure that we not only protect our consumers, but we've got to protect our dealers as well. People need to know about this, and we need to get out in front of it. And that's what our side of the business is. Let's get out in front of what could potentially be a problem, whether it's a claim or this recall situation.
No, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. And I really have to wonder, and you may not know the number to this, you may, but what percent of our dealers even check to see if there's an open recall, on a vehicle before they sell it? And is that even part of the standard operating procedure of a dealership? It should be today, given the litigious market we're in, but is that even a standard policy? And look, we're sending customers out the front door with WIOs, and we're telling them, hey, bring it back in 2 weeks. We'll have this part. We'll get it done. How much is on the customer if we've made the effort from the dealership side to say, hey, in 2 weeks, we'll have this. We can repair it. The customer gets busy. They don't bring it back. Who's on the hook?
Yeah, those are great questions. And there's really a lot of I don't knows because this is not something that has been kind of made aware that there is a problem until recently. So now there's a lot of backpedaling going on in this space that we're like having to say, okay, where has the problem started? And then how can we mitigate it moving forward into the future? So we're kind of having to figure it out. But I would definitively tell you, as someone who used to be a used car manager and used car director, that unless things have changed in the more recent years, that our PDI process very seldom involved looking for open recalls unless that was something that was done by the service advisor when they had it in their possession. But a lot of times it's like, how fast can we get it? How fast can we recondition it? How fast can we get it on the lot? Because you want, on average, 5 to 7 days from the moment you press go to the moment it's retail ready. And any time that hiccups right there, then the used car managers and the dealers just don't like it. So is it a problem or is it a problem that's been overlooked? And I just don't know what the right answer to that question is, but I feel like we're starting to figure that out. In the more recent months coming up, I feel like we're going to figure that out pretty quickly to try to figure out what that plan is. But we definitely got to get figuring out if there's a recall on this vehicle. We need to figure out how to get that in front of the PDI process as opposed to after the sale.
And look, I love the way you teed it up, and without specifically mentioning any of the partners who could potentially provide that data, there are ways you can get that data right now. The data is available. It's just not a part of the process of getting that information into the funnel to get it addressed when you're doing the recon of the vehicle, or if you floor that vehicle and it's on the lot for sale, there's not an audit process or a system in place that says, hey, before we offer this to a customer, we should double check to make sure there isn't an open recall. Technology can help. You're a technology guy.
That's right. It can do wonders. Yeah, and this is why I encourage every single dealer that we do business with, whether they're teeing up with one of our partners, such as yourself, in order to utilize this or someone else, there should always be some sort of an inventory management system that is connected to the OBD port, that ties into the VIN, that ties into the online databases, because let's paint a picture of you did everything right. How can this blow up in our face? Well, you go through the PDI process. You look for an open recall. There is none. You put it on the lot. It sits on the lot for just under 30 days. You got someone that comes in to purchase a vehicle, and yesterday a recall popped up on it, and you were not aware of it. You're still now liable for that according to the governmental regulations. So having a really good inventory management system that can mitigate that and in real time, I think that's going to be the way of the future. It just makes sense.
I like that. And, I think, Mark, technology is serving dealers solutions. They're just teeing it up for them. And I think AI is going to be more and more a part of that, because the gaps that we have, because I don't walk into a dealership where the managers aren't running 90 to nothing because they're all busy trying to get the things they know they have to do right. Now here's other things that have to be done in order to insulate the dealership and also to protect the reputation of the dealership. And technology, whether it's through AI or automation, is their friend. It's oftentimes the friend that will do the job for you and throw a flag up. And if they throw the flag in a place that really, it makes it easy for the used car manager, used car director, or the team that does the recon on the used vehicle to find that issue and address it, then 99.2% of the time, they can continue to do what they do to generate revenue. Just this flag is going to be waving over here that says, hey, before we do something, let's fix this. So do you think the technology plugged into the vehicle, and that's probably the right call so it can pull codes and whatnot, there are other things that need to be repaired in the recon process, fix recalls, pull open codes, get those things resolved as a part of your recon process, put out high quality used vehicles, and then when you're buying back vehicles from your dealer or from your existing prior customer base, if you can actually see that information already in your dashboard that says Mark owns a car that you sold him 3 years ago. By the way, looks like he's done the maintenance on time. Oh, and by the way, it does have a code. It's got a P0091. Of course, I'm making up a code. That's an oxygen sensor that will maybe affect the fuel efficiency, but that's not going to be that big a deal. You also can use that as a tool to buy cars right off the driveway, right?
Absolutely. Take it a step further. If you've got a dozen cars, I know as a used car manager, I would get a run list, probably a day or so in advance before the auction would run. I would go through my run list and I need to buy 10 cars. Well, I'm going to earmark 30 to 35 because I want to look at them and I want to make sure I'm getting a good deal. And if I don't on this one, I'm moving to the next one. But the second reason for that is because I can now take those VIN numbers and then I can run a report and say, okay, I want to know the history. I want to know the Carfax, but in addition, are there any open recalls? Then let's go to the next layer. Let's peel the onion back a little bit, which is, okay, there are open recalls. How fast can I get the parts for this? And if the parts are not available, well, then I'm not bidding on that car. I'm going on to the next one. I'm scratching on my list because who cares if I get a good deal if I've got to sit on it for 60 days to be able to get a part? So then it just doesn't make sense. You see
That's
what
right.
I'm saying?
The car's aging at that point and losing
Absolutely.
value.
Yeah, whatever you've whatever discount you got when you purchased it, it negates the good deal because now you sat on it and the books has done softened a little bit over 60 days and now it's no longer a good deal anymore. So those all of those things are serious things that a used car manager and a buyer needs to kind of look at prior to buying inventory. But let's even look at it like this. So we implement so many strategies in a dealership that all work together. So there was this one program that we use that kind of helps the customers get out of debt. The reason why we use that is because now we know exactly what that car looks like. And more importantly, we know if they're still in the program and what the balance is. So we can start to, ascertain, is there any equity? But let's take it a step further. If we could just extrapolate every vehicle that was sold, 26 to 32 months ago, we know what it should be worth, and we also know what the payoff is. We can go to the next step, which is, hey, does it have any open recalls? Is there anything here? So now we can start to generate traffic from our own existing database. So before I call, Dean and say, hey, you purchased a vehicle 32 months ago from us. Looks like you're in an equitable position. We'd love for you to come in and trade. Well, I might look and say, hey, we can probably make a good deal on this, but I'm gonna have to peel it back 1,000 or 1,200 or whatever, just because it has a recall and I can't get the parts. I'm 4 months out. So yeah, do you want to not trade a vehicle? No, absolutely. You definitely want to trade that vehicle, and you might want to even kick it to the curb and send it to the auction because of the open recall. However, it just puts you in a knowledgeable position where you can make good business decisions as opposed to shooting from the hip and then all of your inventory's underwater.
The best used car managers, used car directors that I know, they always tell me your money's not your money's not made when you sell the car. They tell me your money's made when you buy the car because you have to buy it right.
Absolutely. That's right.
A poor purchase
That's right.
is going to be a poor purchase you take a bath on, correct?
That's right. And it seems like when you make a bad decision on buying a bad car, it never gets better. For some reason, the sale doesn't work out right. The profit doesn't work out right.
Just a stone in your shoe, isn't it?
Yes. And it just never goes away. So you're exactly right. You make your money when you buy the vehicle.
Well, I like the way that you are very technologically leaning in everything you do, whether it's from the warranty side, the marketing side. You put your hands in a lot of pots. And what I see in the conversations we've had over the last several years is that, man, if there's something new and innovative, if there's something that could help a dealer do something they're not doing now and take some of the workload off, but yet make it efficient, then Mark May's probably got his fingers on it. One of the things I wanted to throw out to you just to get some feedback from you is, when it's all said and done and you get to the end of the game, do dealers have more time to spend sifting through data, or do they need the platforms to do that? And then the support staff, the dealer success managers, to come and help them use that? Because I talked to a GM, almost 30-year veteran last week, who shared with me, he is the manager of an Acura store. He shared this with me. He goes, Dean, He goes, I got platforms that probably duplicate each other. He says, I'm drowning in data. You know what I'm not drowning in? People using the data.
Mhm.
And he said, my best vendors are the vendors that have dealer success teams that work with my store to help my people use the information that they're able to provide us to be successful.
That's
Is
right.
that what you find
That's
on your
right.
side with all of the technology you put your hands on?
Absolutely. In fact, that's the whole reason why, everybody that's in the warranty game, I know most of these people, I'm friends with them, and when I tell them all the things that I want to do, they're like, "Dude, stay out of that. Just provide paper and nothing else." But I just feel like that the days of us just being able to do one thing are over because of the fact that everything has to work together. And what I found is every time we go into a dealership, we have a dealer group that we're onboarding as we speak, and there's so many redundancies between platforms. Our
Mhm.
first goal is, hey, let's get in there and let's ascertain what's the problem. Let's find the pain points, and then if we can start to provide solutions, whether it's just through a relationship and a referral or actually providing it ourselves, what we want to do is make it as efficient and let's consolidate. And that's really our mission. We have a two-step process when it comes to everything that we do with our dealers when we onboard them. Consolidate, communicate. It's really just that simple. Let's take everything they're doing, let's consolidate it to make it efficient. And then, of course, then we need to learn how to communicate. So we're weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually, we're communicating with the retail side, the management side, as well as the ownership. So everybody knows how to use it on the front end side, and everybody knows how to read it on the back end side. And then there's an open line of communication. And then what you start to do is you start to see a shift in culture because now the dealer's happy because now we're able to save some money for them because instead of paying 20 grand a month for 5 programs, now they're paying 7 grand a month for maybe one or two programs. And in a lot of cases, we try to offset that with some of the stuff that we're doing. And if we can protect them and train them in the process, that's what dealers are looking for. They want it easy, they want it simple, they want it effective, and they want it efficient. And that's really what they look for.
There you go. So, as a warranty company, do you guys have training for the finance managers? And how do you handle that? How do you support those finance managers to make sure they've got the right talk tracks, that they know how to ask active listening questions to find out what your customers really want? So, when you tee it up, if the customer already wants that protection, that it's an easy shoe in and they're not having to, they would rather let me rephrase. They allow the customer to buy it from them rather than sell it to them.
Absolutely. So there's a handful of ways that we try to get in front of this particular subject right here. So we do F&I schools just like every other provider. We'll host them at different areas around the country depending on who we're doing business with and who's attending, and then of
Can you
course
do
how many
virtual
people
and
we
in
have in
person?
attendance. We will do virtual. We prefer in person, and mainly because we want to control the environment. We want to know that they're there and they're not so. And virtual, a lot of times, virtual training is necessary, and we can't get out of it. But we also know that if they're in person, I've got a captive audience. I typically, if I'm dealing with a bunch of people out of New Orleans, I'm going to get them out of town to Texas or Florida because I don't want them near their dealership because then they're going to be fielding phone calls, taking their lunch, and going run back to the store. I want an undivided attention when it comes to our actual F&I training school, right? It's usually 2 to 3 days. However, we have ongoing F&I training that's in the store. But what we do that's slightly different is the same F&I training that we do that's 2 to 3 days. We do the same thing for salespeople, whether it's veteran sales that are just looking to up their game and increase their knowledge as it pertains to utilizing technology, or it could be a dealer, a dealer partner that's constantly hiring, and they've got, every quarter they're putting on 10 or 15 new salespeople. Well, they'll send them to us. We'll do, a 2 to 3 day kind of an intensive training on
A
understanding the
boot
business,
camp?
understanding the process, basically like a boot camp. And then we put them back on the floor. Then they can do their training in house over there. So they're basically starting a dealership with a little bit of head knowledge on how that works. So what we do to mitigate some of the F&I woes is depending on the culture of the dealership and depending on the F&I manager's response to this, which typically it's more about the dealer than it is the F&I managers, is we start everything from the front of the deal. We want to train the salespeople how to talk to a customer effectively. And what we mean by that is you don't really sell anything. If I'm going to sell a car to you, I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to ask you, Mr. Powery, tell me a little bit about the vehicle that you're currently driving and maybe some things that you absolutely love. You want to make sure it's in your new vehicle. Talk to me about when you purchased it, what motivated you to start getting into the market now. Like, I'm peeling back the onion. I want to know everything about you, your buying decisions, your buying history, why you're even looking for a vehicle, what's changed in your life from the last time you purchased till now, all of those things. So that way I can help you pick out the right vehicle. Because what a lot of new salespeople don't realize is that a lot of people that maybe have money, good credit, and a lot of money or whatever, I know exactly what kind of car I want next. I'm going to call the dealership, say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Send it to me and the paperwork. That's not normal. I'm in the car business, so I know what I like. The average buyer is, hey, I've got a vehicle need, and I need you to help me figure out what's the solution. So it's really important to know your inventory. So if I'm talking to you and asking the right questions, I can help you pick out a vehicle instead of us walking the lot looking at 30 different vehicles and driving 12. No, I know exactly one or two vehicles that's going to be perfect for you, and that's what I'm going to suggest first. And normally about 95% of the time, I'm spot on with those one or two, sometimes three selections, three choices. And then once we get into that, then I start a vehicle walk around. And my walk around is very seldom is it all those little nuances that they used to tell us about, the crumple zones and safety things. I mean, that's important to some people, and we want to talk about that. But typically what I do is I talk to them about everything that vehicle has that met their need. And then I enhance what I say by letting them know that the reason why this vehicle has such great rates when it comes to buying your extended warranties, and the reason why these vehicles it's so efficient. So when you're ready to go ahead and buy the tire and wheel protection, which you're going to want to talk to your F&I manager about. So I'm incorporating that into my daily vernacular as I'm promoting this vehicle, that by the time they sit down at the table with me to talk numbers, they've heard extended warranty, they've heard tire and wheel, they've heard gap insurance, they've heard, prepaid maintenance, they've heard all of these things 1,000 times. So it's easy to talk about.
And they've heard it in relation to things they've said.
Correct.
Their stories.
Exactly. So now they understand that, hey, I'm going to own this vehicle for 5 years. I need to make sure it's protected for 5 years, not just protected for 2.5 years because I drive higher than average miles. And then for 3 years, I'm on the hook. And then from there, I try to encourage every single one of my F&I managers to come out on the showroom and shake their hand and talk to them and just have a good time with them, even if for 2 or 3 minutes or whatever, because now it is a softer sell. Now it is, hey, they're familiar. They're walking into a F&I office. They already know who this guy is. They've already heard about the products. They've been able to apply it to their daily driving habits and their ownership experience. It makes sense. So that's kind of how we start everything from the front and we work our way to the back. And then from a compliance standpoint, then that's just things that you got to do with F&I from, not leaving people's information where people can see it, right? Stuff like that. Just keeping it very compliant.
That makes a lot of sense. And I'm going to summarize everything you said in a favorite quote from a consultant friend of mine. He always tells everyone, facts tell, questions sell.
That's right.
So if you have something that you need to do with someone, start asking them what's important to them. When you get the what's important to them, they're going to tell you what to share with them. You share that information. It makes the sale easy. So at the end of the day, Mark, I know you're a technology guy. I know you're a warranty guy. You've been around the business a long time. You got some fantastic insights. You're my buddy. So I appreciate you spending time with me today. And welcome to the Connected Car Dilemma, guys. It's going to be a lot of interesting guests on this podcast, not the least of which was our inaugural guest, Mr. Mark May. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you, man.
Absolutely. Take care.